Let's walk down the runway of fairy tale fashion. I'm Liz, and this series will explore fairy tale illustration with an emphasis on those fierce, fantastical looks. For September, I'm going to deep dive into fashion illustration for the 12 Dancing Princesses. We're going to start off with a bang, looking at Errol Le Cain's illustrations for a 1978 edition of the book with Viking Press. Le Cain was raised across the Asian continent, mainly in India, and he stunningly blends European silhouettes with Asian prints. In The 12 Dancing Princesses, he seems to be riffing on a Baroque silhouette, but bringing in these intricately detailed and colorful prints that you don't often see with that fashion. He includes an undergarment scene, which I think is a must if you are portraying a period fairy tale. This adaptation of the 12 Dancing Princesses is mostly faithful to the Brothers Grimm version, but it softens the execution of the failed suitors and allows a more organic romance between the eldest princess and the old soldier. These illustrations are gorgeous. I would wear all of those gowns. I would like to wear all of them right now. Let me know your thoughts, and let me know if you have a request for a specific version of the 12 Dancing Princesses you would like me to cover. Let's walk down the runway of fairy tale fashion. I'm Liz, and this series will explore fairy tale illustration with an emphasis on the fierce, fantastical looks on the ladies. For September, I'm focusing on fashion illustration for the 12 Dancing Princesses, and today's artist is Ruth Sanderson. The 12 Dancing Princesses was Sanderson's first solo picture book, published in. I not only love her illustrations, but I love her adaptation of the story too, which changes the usual fatal fate of the pursuing princes to an enchanted one. Sanderson also develops the relationship between its hero and the youngest princess, giving the princess a lot of agency and sway in the plot. But let's talk about the clothes. It was hard to figure out exactly what era Sanderson was riffing off of. I think it's Burgundian fashion of the 15th century, but I think there's also some influence of her own era. The fullness of the sleeves, the hats, and the menswear speak to the 15th century, but the women's waistlines, this guy's mullet, and some of the prints seem to bring in some late 1980s flair. It's what I might call medieval-ish. And it's really, really beautiful. Sanderson uses live models in her illustration work, which I think is really vital for a fashion heavy tale like The 12 Dancing Princesses. And while historically you might argue that there should be a very linear look to the women's gowns, I think if you're going to have 12 dancing princesses, why not have some variety in their clothes and play with those silhouettes and the different types of hats and such? Let me know your thoughts, and let me know if you have any requests for a version of the 12 Dancing Princesses you would like me to cover. Let's walk down the runway of fairy tale fashion. I'm Liz, and this series will explore fairy tale illustration with an emphasis on the dresses. This month I'm focusing on fashion illustrations for the 12 Dancing Princesses, and I've had two requests for a little golden book version of the tale. One person specifically requested the Fred Marvin illustrations, and another one cited the 1995 version, and I think that those are the same. But I did find a second Little Golden Book version illustrated by Sheilah Beckett, and that one was also too cute to pass up. First, let's take a look at the Fred Marvin illustrations. It is so easy to see why a 90s kid would love this book. It's super colorful. This filter amps it up to medieval by way of Lisa Frank, though I don't think it was this vibrant in person. While all of the princesses fit in the same world as far as the era, they each have their own signature color and cut of their gowns, as well as a matching print, a costume technique that I have used many times in theatrical fairy tale productions for children. I personally love how this illustrator showcases the many types of medieval hats. But most importantly, for this particular fairy tale, we get a look at the dancing shoes. In fact, if an artist doesn't draw the shoes, what even is the point of illustrating this fairy tale at all? Now, the Sheilah Beckett Golden Book is to die for. Now, this is an earlier work from 1954, which you can absolutely see in the stylized expressions of the girls. They're like little vintage Barbies. Interestingly, the color scheme of both the Marvin illustrations and the Beckett ones are kind of similar, with these pastel pinks and bright greens and purples. Though I do think that Beckett's is rooted in her era. You can see someone's retro kitchen outfitted in this color scheme. She features some divine undergarments and pajamas illustrations. This little robe is totally out of the 50s. I adore how the girls are running in rainbow ombre formation through the Enchanted Woods. Now, in her version, the princes all wear the same color, while the princesses each have their own. And I'm going to say that that was a feminist decision. All boys are the same. Plus, we get a wedding look with this one, with the girls in their matching bridesmaid dresses. Good lord, what a treat. Look, I don't know how we're going to top that. In fact, I think we need to go into October for this fairy tale because I know there is a version that I haven't covered that you have been waiting for. Please make sure to let me know in the comments. Let's walk down the runway of fairy tale fashion. I'm Liz, and this series explores fairy tale illustration with an emphasis on the looks. We're still deep diving through the 12 Dancing Princesses because there is just so much fashion to look at when there's a literal dozen young ladies. Today, I'll be discussing Barbie in the 12 Dancing Princesses. Now, I was a little old for this one when it came out, but I know how formative it was for some of you out there, so I was excited to catch up. I was a little thrown by the Shrekness of the early digital animation, as well as the emphasis on ballet outfits. But you know what? I get it. In fact, the ballet looks are unique to this version, which is worth celebrating alone. I mean, it's a fairy tale about people who love dancing, so there should be more versions that celebrate specific styles. Flamenco 12 dancing princesses, Irish step dancing princesses, swing dancing princesses. I'm going to share images from the film as well as the tie-in toys and book, and we'll also look at some fan art because to me that is where the production design is most impactful. But first, I'll catch you up on the story because I think it's a very clever twist. The 12 princesses are being raised by their widowed dad, who brings in his cousin Rowena, voiced by Catherine O'Hara, to train his rowdy daughters into proper princesses. What he doesn't realize is Rowena is thirsty for his crown, so she begins slowly poisoning the king while instilling a draconian lifestyle on his 12 girls. The princesses discover that their mother left them a magical getaway, activated by dancing over their cameos. Each princess has her own flower and gem motif. There, they find a pavilion where they are granted wishes. They wish for an orchestra to dance to, ballet costumes to dance in, and eventually handsome princes to dance with. Now, Rowena finds out about their oasis, but the girls find out about her ruse with the help of a cute cobbler named Derek. Genevieve, the middle daughter, played by Barbie herself, uses some of that wish magic on Rowena, who is cursed to dance forever. I love that little twist, as it's a tame punishment for a kids' movie, but also pays homage to rather horrifying punishments of old fairy tales. As far as the clothes go, well, they aren't really for me. They are for little girls, and for them, they are perfect. The princesses' looks are inspired by their flower and gem motif, right down to their slippers. There is no set period here. The elder royals are dressed sort of 18th century, and I gotta say, Rowena's look is fucking sick, y'all. But the princesses are in a modernized late romantic era, maybe, with those puff sleeves and full skirts. Once again, we have a cute pajamas scene, and once again, we have some wonderful shoe fashion. But to really appreciate the beauty behind the designs, you need to look at fan art and cosplay inspired by this film. I adore the work people have put into crafting their own versions of the shoes, as well as artists who have reimagined the characters in different historical eras and styles. And the dolls themselves are very cute, much prettier than they are on screen. Thank you for this request. I will make a few more videos of the 12 Dancing Princesses, as there are some artists left I really want to showcase. Let's walk down the runway of fairy tale fashion. I'm Liz, and this series explores fairy tale illustration with an emphasis on the character design, on the clothes. We're still looking at the 12 Dancing Princesses, and today we're going to look at illustrations by the incomparable KY Craft for a picture book version retold by Mariana Mayer. The story focuses on a farmer named Peter who yearns to marry a princess and has some help from visionary dreams and magical plants. This version develops a love story between him and the youngest princess and uses the plot point that the princesses are enchanted with an act of true love, the only way to break the spell. The clothes, as you can see, are stunning. Once again, we're looking at a modified Baroque period for the costumes, which is a popular choice for fairy tales for a reason. Big sleeves, big petticoats, embroidered waistcoats and jackets for the boys, and all the trimmings. I love the headwear that Elise gets. Craft is renowned for her intricate details and luminescent atmosphere, and both of those are put on incredible display here. The gowns glow, and you can sense the layers of fabrics like embroidered, metallic, gauzy stuff over shining silks and satins. Craft gives us multiple looks at the dancing slippers right from the title page, and I love how they're all unique because if I got to order new dancing shoes every day of the week, I would make sure each and every pair had a new look. Initially, it appears that the girls have a specific unified look for the Twilight Kingdom in these like white ball gowns, but later at the pivotal ball where Peter breaks the spell, they're wearing different looks, and perhaps this is so that Elise and Peter will stand out in their dark clothes. This book is a must have if you'd like to collect picture book fairy tales. I think it's my favorite version, at least for illustrations, and it's definitely the world I'd most love to inhabit with the dresses I'd most love to wear. What do you think? Is there a version of 12 Dancing Princesses I haven't covered yet? Check my playlist to catch up and let me know. Let's walk down the runway of fairy tale fashion. I'm Liz, and this is a series that explores fairy tale illustration with an emphasis on the clothes. I'm doing one last video about the illustrations of different versions of 12 Dancing Princesses, and today I'll mostly concentrate on a requested version written by Janet Lunn and illustrated by Lazlo Gal, but I will catch up with a few other versions I missed at the end. Gal's version of this fairy tale, while not the flashiest in terms of fashion, is the best written and has the most distinct setting in both its clothes and its environment. Lazlo Gal was Hungarian, and his princesses are definitely influenced by Renaissance-era Hungary. The princesses are very modestly dressed, but that makes it a really unique entry in this fairy tale's legacy. And Hungarian versions of the 12 Dancing Princesses are fantastic. You can read one in Dancing on Blades by Cenge Zalka, which I have recommended dozens of times before. Gal's work is very subtly textured, a technique that's perfect for the airiness of these gowns. I love the layers, and that technique also works well for the gardener's invisible cloak. Even though this is a fashion series, I have to shout out the world of this version too. It's the first I've seen that highlights more of a cavernous mine setting for the underground world, like with these big gemstones and waterfalls. That is no doubt influenced by Gal's heritage as well, as we see more mines and mountains and minor characters in Eastern European tales. Now, I can't close up this Dancing Princesses series without a few more artistic shoutouts. Kay Nielsen, of course, made some gorgeous pieces for this fairy tale, very Rococo meets Deco. I didn't give him his own video because there are only a few illustrations for the fairy tale. Jane Ray's pattern mixing makes her entry a really standout version, and I love that her princesses appear to be diverse in both age and ethnicity, and her prince is wearing an eye patch. I think. I couldn't get my hands on a copy of this one, so I'm working off of an internet search. I love the cover of this Dorothee Duntze version, which seems to showcase dancing princes from multiple parts of the world based on their hats and clothes. And lastly, I have a wonderful piece of art on my wall by one of my talented mutuals here, Joshua David McKenney, creator of the Pidgin Doll brand. Candy-colored Rococo princesses, he is speaking my language. Thank you for following along with this series. My patrons voted for the red shoes next. We are in a shoe state of mind. That will likely be a shorter series, maybe even just one video looking at the titular shoes. If you would like to be a decider of some of my content, join me over at Patreon. Paid tiers get access to my podcast, polls, and those people's requests get bumped up in my queue. But free subscribers receive my occasional newsletter, so they won't miss out on any news, events, or content from me. So there's something over there for you, no matter your budget. If you're watching on the Clock app, this app may be going away in the new year. So I really encourage you to follow me anywhere you possibly can. And on Patreon is where you'll get emails right to your inbox. I am on the Sky app, and I am anywhere you can post video. I'll see you for the next installment of Fairy Tale Fashion.